once again.
Luke here. The very first episode of Do That Movie One More Time that I made laid out all the Disney classic cartoon to live-action remakes I could find that Disney had announced. I've done some research since, and oh my god, you guys, there are like so many more. So I figured I'd better take a video here and answer the burning question that made you click on this video in the first place. How many remakes is Disney going to do? The answer is 29, and I'll go through each and every blessed one of them along with some quick thoughts. Let's break it down. We'll start with the ones that everyone already knows about and that actually have release dates. In order, Mary Poppins Returns, December 25th, 2018. Starring Emily Blunt and Lin-Manuel Miranda, this update to the Mary Poppins tale follows the Banks children's children who presumably have some sort of problem that needs to be solved with magic and Cockney charm. No word on how much of a British accent Miranda will try and affect. Dumbo, March 29th, 2019. Directed by Tim Burton, this remake seems as though it will tell a remarkably different story than the Disney original, though some of the main story will be in there. I predict it will be quirky, the story will be a little weak and nonsensical, and the visuals will be absolutely amazing. The Lion King, July 19th, 2019. Directed by Jon Favreau, this live-action remake already had a showing at Disney's D23 convention where they showed the entire Circle of Life opening number remade shot for shot. Reportedly, the visuals were amazing, but let's hope they had some new stuff too, huh? Mulan, December 20th, 2019. Directed by Nicky Caro, who directed Whale Rider, North Country, and The Zookeeper's Wife, 3 movies I haven't seen, we have very little to go on, but there have been a few tidbits. There may or may not be music, though if there isn't, I think the internet will riot. General Li Shen appears to not be appearing in the film, replaced as male lead by a recruit who joins the same time Mulan does, and the entire cast will be Chinese. Peter Pan, 2021. David Lowery, who directed the pretty good Pete's Dragon remake, is set to direct the new Peter Pan. This particular property will be difficult to adapt as there have been so many live-action versions of the Peter Pan story, but maybe they can stand out from the crowd by doing one that doesn't suck. Now, on to every remake where there is no release date and very little to go on other than they plan on making it. Pinocchio. I've talked at length about this one already, linked to both videos in the description, but I think there's a lot of potential here.
Well, you can't please everybody.
Aladdin. We've discussed some of the casting in previous videos, link in the description. Since that was posted, they also announced that some guy I've never heard of, Marwan Kenzari, will be playing Jafar. Apparently he was in the Tom Cruise Mummy movie I didn't see. I do think Will Smith is an odd choice to play the genie, but I'm open to it. It will be interesting to see what form this one takes. The Chronicles of Prydain, Black Cauldron. I said I wanted it, link in the description, and it looks like I'm gonna get it. A new movie, or maybe series of movies, based on the Chronicles of Prydain. That's where Disney's 1985 movie The Black Cauldron came from. Very excited. Glad to see they're taking my suggestions seriously. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. A good/obvious choice for a remake. The first feature-length animation that Disney ever made. There's certainly room for this one to be modernized as long as they don't turn her into a warrior princess. I don't like it when they do that. I just want the best possible version of the Snow White story. The Little Mermaid. We know very little about this remake other than it will be a musical and that, again, Lin-Manuel Miranda will be attached in some capacity. I expect this will be another straight remake with bonus scenes to tie up plot holes the internet found, a la Beauty and the Beast 2017. The Sword and the Stone. Hoo boy, not sure how I feel about this one. I love the Sword and the Stone cartoon movie, not as a well-crafted movie. It isn't, the ending's a little bit of a mess.
And I most certainly agree.
But mainly for the characters, Merlin and Archimedes specifically, and the frenetic animation that's an absolute joy to watch.
Oh, you squirrely squirrels!
I'm gonna cross my arms and glower at this one for a bit. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Huh. Are they actually going to be the animals? If so, I'm totally on board. This isn't a property I'm particularly attached to, so long as it looks good, updates the story a bit, and they cast the most British voice actors they can find, it'll be great. Oliver Twist. I don't know if this should be in this section. Disney did make a version of Oliver Twist called Oliver and Company in 1988, but this looks to have little to do with that and more to do with rap. Ice Cube is set to star as Fagin, and it's being directed by the stage director of Hamilton. Next, we have a couple of villain-focused remakes doing the Wicked thing. Cruella. Starring Emma Stone, this prequel to 101 Dalmatians will give us all the important backstory of Cruella de Vil, the least subtly named villain not in a Star Wars movie. Darth Maul, General Grievous, Darth Sidious. Oh, George. Chernobog, A Night on Bald Mountain. I did a whole video on this, link in the description, but Disney will strive to make Satan relatable. What could go wrong? Next up, we've got a bunch of side stories of movies they're doing live-action remakes of. Genies. Apparently we get some insight into the lives of genies from Aladdin. Does this mean they're going to include the ring genie from the original story? This movie will either be interesting or super annoying. Only time will tell. Tink. The Tinkerbell standalone movie is supposed to star Reese Witherspoon, as I've mentioned before. Again, no word on whether or not it will follow the Pixie Hollow storylines and include any of those characters, but here's hoping we get to see Angelica Houston in her Queen Clarion outfit. The Merlin Saga. Assuming this is the same Merlin we'll see in the Sword and the Stone remake, will this be a prequel? And if so, does that mean it will take place after the events of the Sword and the Stone, since Merlin is living his life backwards-ish? Prince Charming. Finally, some characterization for the cardboard cutout from the cartoons. But which Prince Charming will this be? Snow White or Cinderella? If Cinderella, will the King in the North reprise his role? Reportedly, this is sort of a Fred Claus kind of movie where it's actually focused on Charming's brother. Oh boy. Rose Red. From brother to sister, we get this spin-off of Snow White about her sister, I guess? Looking at the grim fairy tale, Rose Red's story is actually about both her and Snow White, but not the Snow White that we know. It's about a bear who the two girls let in to warm himself by the fire, which they become friendly with, then blah 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 blah, they both marry a prince. A timeless tale. Christopher Robin. This is an odd bird. Supposedly this will be an update to the Winnie the Pooh stories in the way Hook was to Peter Pan. A grown-up Christopher Robin, who will be played by Ewan McGregor, will find his way back to the 100-acre wood where all his friends are there, and we get to watch a grown man take honey jars off a bear's nose, I guess. Brad Garrett is set to play Eeyore, and apparently Alan Tudyk is trying to secure the role of Tigger. Now, we also have sequels to remakes that have already happened, including another Jungle Book and a Maleficent sequel. Oh boy? Now that we're at the bottom of the list, I wanted to mention a few other remakes that aren't based on any cartoon movie Disney has done, but that I think are worth mentioning. James and the Giant Peach. The Roald Dahl classic was adapted once very successfully in live action and stop motion. It was done by Disney Studios and Tim Burton, but I don't know if they will be collaborating again. Probably not. It will be interesting to see what direction this one takes. Kiki's Delivery Service. A remake of a Studio Ghibli film, which Disney now owns. Again, not much info, but if this remake is set in the present day, the titular witch Kiki will have a tough time competing with Amazon delivery drones. Lastly, I wanted to touch on a few non-cartoon remakes. The Black Hole. This 1979 classic may receive an update. It looks like something has been in the works for a while, but with Disney focused on a certain other space-based adventure series, the galaxy may not be big enough for the both of them. The Haunted Mansion. The Eddie Murphy-helmed attempt at recapturing the magic of Pirates of the Caribbean was a box office and critical failure. It seems like an easy ride to adapt at first glance, but when you really drill down, there are a lot of difficulties here and a fine line to straddle before this becomes too scary to be a Disney flick. Tron. Here's hoping this goes full reboot. I enjoyed the last Tron follow-up, but I think restarting the series from the beginning would be their best bet. Flight of the Navigator. I don't even know how I feel about this one. I watched this movie at least once a week as a kid, but I know it wasn't great. Or was it? The more I think back to this one, the more great stuff I remember. This may actually be a good candidate for a remake since there's a lot of good ideas in the source film that could be expanded upon, so here's hoping they keep the magic of the original. Whew, that was quite a list. I'll continue to post updates on remakes as info becomes available, so give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and most of you haven't, I'm looking at you, Vietnam, and hit that bell to receive notifications. I think for the next episode of Dit Momte, I'll talk about all the cartoons that are suspiciously absent from this list. Until then, you know what to do.